as always. Yeah, and then Nina. I'm going to let this run for a few minutes. Hi everybody, for when we dive into another session of Dwell on It. A couple minutes early, which is normally good. I would jump into it like the last couple weeks, but this time I've got Ina, who went from last week to this week, so I'm just going to wait for that invite to go through, and I'm going to follow up with a text because I don't know what receiving invites are like. Cool. Let that run. And yeah, I'm actually sitting at the desk today. Let's try that again. I'll send another invite. It's funny, I still feel very out of place with using Instagram. I still just can't seem to navigate it, but I guess considering the frequency on it, that's also slightly expected too. So, well, whatever. I'm in the middle of getting some work done anyway. It's been an incredibly wild past couple weeks. I can't believe it's Sunday again already. Definitely no arguments to that's for sure. But time's absolutely flying by. It's nuts, right? Whether it's summer being summer, or just the amount of to-dos, or the amount of to-dos, and even the times that I've been spending in the kitchen lately, just doing an absolute ton of meal prep. It just seems to take so much time of mine, and I know, like, I'm hardly a pro in the kitchen, but I do know that I'd like to, work on my knife skills. I'm able to join again. Okay, let's try again. I don't know if it's timing out or what's happening, but send another request. Send a request again. But yeah, anyway, like I was saying about knife skills in the kitchen, I know it would save me a ton of time, and I'm always just super meticulous when it comes to my food prep anyway, and I'm really, like, I really do prefer to cook like low and slow type of stuff. I'd rather use a slow cooker when possible, or I'd go ahead and use the oven if I'm going to cook a meat instead of frying pan or a grill, for example. I just tend to prefer that being my type of cuisine. So of course that takes a lot of extra time too. So, but like I said, the knife skills in itself would save me Lord knows how much time, because I feel myself spending so much time dancing around dicing a tomato, which I've seen, people who their trade is involved in the kitchen and nothing, right? Like, and call it a night with like no food loss or anything like that too, and that's usually one of my biggest concerns. Oh, join again. Okay, I'll give this one more, and in the meantime, I'm grateful that I have I'll just send this last one. I think Ina can request an invite. Whatever. Week 3! Same time. Same bag as yesterday, or last week. Yesterday. This shows how this week has been. Anyway, let's go ahead and take care of this while we're going on that. Let's get this show on the road. What is your idea of a romantic vacation? I like that question because I've never really explored the idea of dating since, well, like, let me give a backstory. In a past life, one of the challenges that I had, yeah, there's that error again. Fuck. Alright, whatever. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Dang it. I don't know if it's an Instagram thing or not, but anyway, what's my idea of a romantic vacation? So, like I said, backstory. One of my challenges when it came to, like, accepting my reality is how I like to phrase it, because I would try to find reasons to invalidate the fact that transitioning was inevitable if I was to have anything close to a happy and authentic life. And with that, one of my biggest concerns was always wondering who would ever love Taylor. Because who would love Taylor, right? Brad had enough trouble keeping a relationship, but the reality of that was because I wouldn't allow myself to be vulnerable enough to develop a meaningful relationship. It was a terrible catch-22 of staying incredibly guarded and then being upset that nobody loved somebody who wasn't giving 100% of themselves. Weird system, eh? But and I would, like, it would always sit in my head that I felt like it would be healthier for me if I had a partner who I knew would still love me before and after, before I started considering the after part. And obviously it just doesn't work like that on paper. And I have a lot of respect for relationships that are able to go ahead and go through transition, because it's a difficult experience. And so for any partner or any spouse of an individual who goes through transition, I have an immense amount of respect for you for that, for recognizing who your partner is, right? In the big picture, who your partner is. Kind of like what I said a little while ago, love is love, not earlier today, but in a previous episode, love is love. And to see that and see that through is amazing. So kudos to every, like I said, spouse and partner, and even like best friends and so on, to be with somebody transitioning and go through that ride. And so for myself, I felt a serious amount of despair, because I felt like it was never going to be anyway, or all I would end up being stuck with, I hate saying it, but it's a reality, is just being surrounded by chasers, for example. And for people who aren't familiar with who chasers are, they are individuals who are looking for, how do I say it without sounding like an asshole? Because I'm going to actually just see if I can Google it, because every time I try to describe it, it's, what are chasers? Okay, so drink chasers. No, that's not that. I'm trying to think if there's just a nice way to describe it. Ah, good. Exploitative admirers who harass trans people. Perfect. I'm going to remember that. That is fantastic. That's an excellent way to put it. Or, like, an individual who is sexually attracted to transgender people and specifically seeks them out because they are transgender. Originally and still predominantly used to describe the men interested in trans women, the term chaser is now being used in transmasculine communities as well. Many members of the trans community use chaser as a pejorative sense, right, in fairness, right, for men who specifically seek out trans women for their bodies in what is seen as a fetishistic or exploitative manner. Someone who is attracted to a trans person is not considered inherently a chaser. That's the first time that I actually ever had to search the description. And to put into context, I understand, as far as I understand, I should better say, because when it comes to dating apps like Tinder and whatnot, I understand that there's a when you can select genders, and they included trans as a gender category or something along those lines, and it reinforces one of my points when it comes to looking for a trans partner. Now, again, I'm not familiar enough with Tinder or any other dating apps to really be able to comprehend the like the mechanisms of it. But I've always challenged the concept of what is it about the trans category that an individual is looking for. And I think more on a men seeking or a women seeking sort of idea, and because my challenge regarding that is what makes a trans woman or a trans man uniquely attractive, that the category is important compared to women or men categories, but don't mention the genitals, right? Like, and for me, that's like what I think in terms of like that categorization, because I'm far more than what's between my legs. Just FYI, in case anyone didn't know. So, and in a past life, that's all I experienced over and over and over and over and over, over and over and over, over and over and over, over and over and over. That's literally one of the biggest reasons why I couldn't even imagine using dating apps, because I prefer substance instead of, discussions about my bits and pieces, because my life is hardly revolved around that. And so I was having difficulty seeing myself in a position in life that would involve having a significant other, because it felt like it would just be relegated to back to what it was being described here earlier, right? Having a body only being seen in a fetishistic sort of way, instead of recognizing that I'm a human being with a big brain and a huge heart, right? So anyway, that I never really allowed myself to think of things like romantic vacations or anything like that, to get to the point of the question. Because first, I've hardly ever liked the idea of vacationing anyway, because again, in a past life, I was struggling so much and just trying to figure out my own identity. Why would I want to go ahead and be in other places in the world when I hardly even wanted to make sense of my own backyard? Or not want to, but I just struggled with figuring out my own backyard. Why would I go ahead and invest time to just travel other places in the world and not really appreciate it? Because I just never wanted to wake up anyway. I remember I have been on multiple trips for whatever reason, and it's like the whole time I just never truly appreciated it, because I'd be spending so much time trying to figure out my loneliness and my despair or whatever. Now, totally different life, because I have a much more clear head, and I'm excited to wake up every day. I'm going to try to send another one. I don't know what happened. Let's try this again. Send request. So anyway, back to the point though. That now that I've got an opportunity to appreciate life and wake up and have a good time, the idea of a romantic vacation is cute. But I'm also just a simple person. It's all said and done. The idea of a romantic vacation is just, honestly, it's just a getaway somewhere. An illegitimate getaway, right? Like a digital getaway and a distance getaway. It doesn't need to be foreign, right? But it's just a place with, somebody I love and with somebody who loves me. And just literally be away. A small cabin, for example, right? Just by the lake. That'd be cool. And just being able to spend that quality time together without having this obligation, this connection of anything else around. Nope, nothing on the clock, nothing nothing scheduled, nothing planned, and just spend time, right? Wake up and one of us makes breakfast, right? Both of us make breakfast, depending on where we are, order breakfast, I don't know, right? Like, it's so simple. Like, I could have a beautiful vacation here at home. I can have, just like I said, here at home and just turn off all the internet, right? Disconnect the router, turn off the phones or whatever, and literally just have a staycation with with a significant other, and just allow ourselves to disappear from the world. That's the most romantic part for me. It doesn't need to have flowers and wine and mariachi bands and the whole nine. But that doesn't mean that I'm not open to fun and exciting ideas either, right? Because the what gets to my heart, aside from quality time, is when somebody gets to know me and shows me that they've been paying attention. One of my most favorite gifts that I've ever received, ever in my life, was a birthday present, and it was before I was socially full time, but it was makeup. It was something very important to me, and it was important because it showed me that I was exciting to her, and she wanted to see my beauty. And it's the little things like that mean a ton, right? Like, I don't need pomp. I need someone paying attention. And like I said, that's my idea of a romantic vacation. Simple, but loving. So let's do another. What's something you're passionate about? Trans rights. Who'd have thought? What's something about trans rights? Period. Advocacy. Systemic, meaningful change. That there's no off button at all, right? And I wake up every day excited because shit needs to be done. Period. Like, I don't know if it's a connection issue or something like that, but I'm not stopping this episode because it's got to be done. I made a commitment, right, to people saying that I'm going to answer their questions, and I'm going to answer their questions because it matters to them. And if it matters to them, it matters to me. And when it comes to creating meaningful systemic change so that the next generation of trans individuals don't have to suffer for 39 years wondering if they're going to exist, right, comfortably for the rest of their lives, if I can do what I can and do my part to create meaningful change so that platforms and systems are updated or developed or strengthened or acknowledged or whatever, so that you get a kid as young as 8 who knows in their heart, right, that I am trans. They have the courage to say it, and they've got the support systems available, and they've got the peers and the family around them already understanding that it's possible, it's real, and it's accepted. There should never be a point in for anyone's life, to hide their reality from others for the fear of the reaction that others have. To put that thought that I don't know how someone else is going to accept it, so I'm going to let myself suffer for their benefit. Fuck that. Fuck that. Fuck that. The inability for other people to cope is not the problem of somebody keeping themselves from allowing themselves to be authentic and happy. The inability for someone else to cope should not come at the consequence of someone else's peace, should not come at the consequence of someone else's mental health, should not come at the consequences of someone else's ability to have a valid life, should not come at the consequences of somebody else being considered an equal member of society. None of those things should be the consequence, right, of someone else having the inability to understand that things might be a little different. So fuck that. And I've been passionate about that nonstop. I've been passionate about that for at least 20 years. I know that I've been trans ever since I've been, as like my earliest memories. My earliest memories, I know that something was off. I know that. I know that. But as soon as I started getting to adulthood and realized that there's a fire in my heart, that I have the ability to go ahead and speak and say something and do something, and I kept myself from saying or doing anything regarding trans rights, because I did not have the courage at that time to, if I got challenged by peers wondering, what do you care about trans people for? I didn't have the courage to stand up about that. I knew that the right thing to say was because it just makes fucking sense. But I did not have the courage because I already had enough fear of losing my peers, losing my networks, losing my circles, losing my privilege, losing everything. I was afraid of losing what I already barely had. And it took me so long to overcome that fear, to recognize that my authenticity and my validity and my happiness should not come with an expense of it because of other people's feelings. And the day that I was able to say, fuck it, take care of yourself and mean it, was one of the most liberating things that I could ever imagine. All this bullshit that a whole bunch of other people talk about, freedoms and rights, you have no fucking clue what freedom is. I am immensely passionate about systemic change when it comes to trans rights, because there is so much mainstream marginalization that gets attention and gets discussion and gets visibility because it's understood to talk about. And you've got trans marginalization amongst many other types of marginalization too that are left up to opinions, right? Or left to, oh, we don't want to talk about that because, you know, it's not well understood. Maybe if it was talked about, it would be better understood. Who'd have fucking thought? That's my passion. To get this type of shit, not on the little B channel media, not to be on the little, I'll throw it around someone in case someone trips over it and educate. This trans visibility deserves as much visibility as every other form of media, or as every other form of community, or as every other topic. Because the only way that it gets better understood and accepted is visibility and understanding. There will always be people who contradict it, because those people, for the lack of a better description, are idiots. But for everybody else who doesn't understand, but they don't understand simply because they don't know, they don't recognize, they haven't been informed, but at least have the neurons available to realize that it's a thing and it deserves support, that's the audience that needs to be hit, except for the fact that it doesn't get the attention that it deserves because you've got organizations like media, right, that choose to hide the conversation because they don't want to be encumbered with the opposition of it. So I am damn passionate about putting this conversation on the map. I know other people put it on the map, or they try to put it on the map, but right now at the Olympics, we've got 3 trans athletes, or 3 known trans athletes in the Olympics, which is utterly fantastic. And with what I do when it comes to being a volunteer with Sport Manitoba, to go ahead and do what I can to influence the assistance with policy making, so that
this information and the level of reach can get to lower and lower and lower and earlier and earlier and earlier levels and ages, so that this conversation starts earlier, so the controversy ends sooner. That is my passion. I am passionate about trans rights, and not even just about trans rights, because everything that I go after is 100% intersectional. Everything that I go after can be addressed in any other form of marginalization, any other form of discrimination, every other form of oppression, every other form of injustice, every other form of violence. All of these things is completely intersectional language and dialogue, and that is what I'm fucking passionate about. And it is not ending. It does not end. And the reason why it does not end is because my life is 24/7. This isn't a 9-to-5 job like a whole bunch of other systems and platforms. Oh, I'm going to care about trans people while they get paid today. I have no choice but to live this fucking life. And so I'm going to continue to fight and fight and fight and fight and fight every day, so that there doesn't need to be as many advocates as there are today. So like I said, that 8-year-old trans kid, right, can just live his, her, or their fucking life without having to deal with other people saying that they're in the wrong place or whatever. So that they can go ahead and join a sport and not wonder if they're going to be in a safe space. They can go to the bathroom and just take a fucking shit and not worry about it. They can go ahead and they can, present their identification, and even though they might not look to be the exact same way as what so-and-so might think Stacy looks like, for example, it doesn't fucking matter. That's what I'm passionate about. I don't know if you can tell. How important to you is it to save money? That's a great question. Oh, listen to my tone change. Personally, not important. But our world revolves around money. So it's important to acknowledge that without having money, any sort of progress is limited. I said this to a friend the other day, kind of relating to what I was just talking about, ranting about, better said, that how many people are told to save for retirement? Lots of people, right? Save for retirement, save for retirement, save for retirement, save for retirement. And how many people wonder if they're ever going to make it to retirement? Full disclosure, I don't have retirement savings. Because in a past life, I never thought that I would make it to retirement. And even to this day, I can't be confident that I will. Because our world is a terrible and horrible place. And this is what I'm passionate about. So the next generation of trans kids don't have to worry about wondering if they're going to make it to retirement too. To that same friend, I asked a very simple question. How many times do people wonder when it happens, as opposed to how many people wonder how? Think about that. What's the point of having retirement money when living a full retirement doesn't really seem like a reality anyway? So it's a terrible catch-22, because it's ignorant to not plan ahead for a future when you're not receiving income, obviously. And it's rather upsetting to not be confident in having a future with, being able to just live your life post-employment until you die of natural causes. So what I do presently is I'm very happy with my budget, very happy with income and expenses. I don't feel I live over my means. I treat myself, and I know that I could even change things significantly and create a more meaningful savings account if I wanted. But
I still like the idea of just making sure that my day-to-day is currently figured out. I have no major aspirations to change home, change location, change whatever. So I'm not. It's not on my mind. I simply I just want to make sure that all of my expenses and utilities and obligations are covered, and and uh, and I've got food in the fridge and food in my belly. Like my budget calendar, I've got organized all the way through 2027, right? Like all the way through 2027 is when my last my car loan done then or my personal loan? But anyway, one of my two loans, right? My car payment, my personal loan, whatever. Anyway, is it goes all the way until 2027, and so I've created a budget calendar to go all the way into then. And what's nice is like even when it comes to my banking, all of my obligations, things that I know 100% are being paid, are automatically paid every paycheck. Or they're put into my savings account and then get bounced around as withdrawals come out or whatever it would be. Anytime that there's expenses coming from my checking account, I make sure to update the spreadsheet accordingly, and so on and so on. And even to the point where it shows me, like I've got it set up so that it calculates what my lowest of both my checking and savings accounts are in the current month that we're in, and then also all the way until the end of the to 2027. And the value of that is it, instead of specifically about saving money, it's more about making sure to live within my means. And it works. Is it important to save money? Not out of a personal value, but just an acknowledgement of where we are in the world today. It's a frustrating world to revolve around that, and but it is what it is too, right? Like, if somebody wants to live a minimalist life and is able to pull it off, fantastic, congratulations. I'm very happy for you to be able to do that. I can't understand it. I'm sure I could do it if I was put into that type of situation. But that's it. Almost everything around me has been thrifted in some way, shape, or form. So it's certainly not like I'm, running to get the newest and latest of whatever anyway, right? I get what I need when I need it, and go from there. But otherwise, yeah, how important is it to save money? It's important if you know what you have to save money for with confidence. And like I said, if I can't be confident that stereotypical bank suggested life is going to happen, then what's the point of saving for it? You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm waiting for Lotto 649 to magically surprise me, and it would be a magical surprise because I don't gamble. So you have to be kind of weird to all of a sudden get that winning lottery ticket since I didn't put one in for it. But whatever. Anyway, that's aside from the point. But we live in a difficult time where it's expected to have a whole bunch of reserved money by people who've had that opportunity, yet we struggle dearly all around us. There's somebody incredibly important to me who's going through a hard time right now. And even though that I know I'm beyond my means personally, I'm telling her, like, I'll buy your groceries. I'll buy your groceries. I'll fill your gas tank. I'll do it because our world is not conducive to saving, which is frustrating. So what I would rather do with my money is to just make sure that all my loose ends are covered, and then make sure that the people around me and the people that I love are safe and healthy and happy. And I'm actually going to follow up right after this about when's a good time to go grocery shopping, because who knows when anyone gets hit by a bus, right? And I would rather make sure that that she's got a full belly, right, than me have cash in my wallet and get hit by a bus by accident. You know what I mean? So it's important to save money in principle because of the way that our world is designed to work with money, but as a personal value, figure it out as it goes. And it's frustrating seeing that from a trans perspective, because I'm grateful for a few things. One, I'm grateful I don't have body dysphoria. That's a start. And I'm exceptionally grateful that I don't have genital dysphoria. I'm also grateful that I live in Canada, and I'm grateful that trans healthcare covers a lot of expenses that would remedy many things regarding trans healthcare. So I have that privilege of having concerns relating to being trans already handled by things like healthcare and so on. And then I can compare to my friends down south, where the price of whether it's HRT medication or any sort of, gender affirming surgery is through the roof. Through the fucking roof. And without some magical loopholes, is just an exorbitant cost. And so, how important is it to save money? Critical. Like, critical. Fucking critical. Because, like, the cost of some of those surgeries are just, like, an insane amount of zeros. And so, and if that's your comfort, your happiness, your mental safety, critical. And it's frustrating that that it has to be money spent to live an authentic and comfortable life. I'm grateful for who I am and where I am because I managed to financially circumvent a lot of those expenses just by the nature of the beast. But like, I remember I roughed up a number way back when, if I was thinking that I needed this and needed this and needed this and needed this before I was more comfortable with myself. And I think I penned out like $85,000 or something like that to feel whole. Obviously, I was wrong by that, by about $85,000. But that's putting into consideration as if, right, I was checking every box of what all the popular things are and getting them done out of pocket. And I think that was even in Canada, not even counting down south. And I think that was involving a little bit of travel too, but that's aside from the point. So how important is it to save money? Yeah, I guess answering three things. One, by the nature of our society, right, critical, because our world revolves around money. My personal values of keeping money when you don't know what's happening tomorrow make it difficult to want to save money, and especially with statistics not exactly being in my favor. The whole save for retirement thing is like, yeah, sure, yeah, you really checked out all the demographics when you're doing those advertisings. And then otherwise, when it comes to like just gender affirming and gender confirmation surgeries, or like I said, HRT, or anything for your own comfort, is just fucked.
So, yeah, let's hope that covers that one. So, what do we got? Oh, we got time. 6:36. We'll wrap it up. I don't know what happened to you. I'm gonna check, make sure she's okay. Hope she's all right. I'll check in on her. Thanks for everyone who checked in. Right? Thanks for everyone who's gonna check in later. And yeah, hope you liked the middle one. That got salty there. I haven't been that salty in a small while. So, hope everyone else has a great rest of your day, and we'll talk next week. Bye. Oh, yeah, actually, by the way, I think, might be live on location at a beach next week. That'll be kind of fun. Depends on how time goes. I got an invite yesterday to head out of town, catch some sand and sun. We'll see how the weather goes, and like I said, it might be a live on location episode, which would be kind of fun, right? So we'll see how that goes. But otherwise, we'll talk later. Bye.